what America wants. Nice and calm. You're almost there.
Yeah, I did it. I cried 2 tears in a bucket. Fuck it. Let's take it to the stage.
You dig it? You knock a dude down, you get some respect.
Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Hey, we're back at it again here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, and it's your favorite baby boomer. Once again, we're going to keep it light. Enough politic talk for a minute. There's enough of that going on. We're going to keep it light. So we kind of I try to change up a subject just a little bit, and we're going to touch upon a couple of things. But before we get started, anybody out there, hit the like button on the way in, say hello and all that kind of good stuff. Hey, what's going on? Oh, yeah, Arm and Eyes, how you doing? Stick around if you can. How you doing? It's been a while. Hey, listen, everybody pray for the folks down in Nashville. Ask God to extend his tender mercies to those folks who are freezing down there. I'm hearing that the power company won't pay extra linemen from other locations to come in to help speed up the process. So there you go. You pay your bills every month, and these guys are still looking at profits and shit like that over people. It's a bad thing. So I didn't know it was that bad in Nashville. These folks ain't as prepared for the cold weather. And being without power, man, when it's cold, is deadly. It's just not inconvenience. It's deadly. So, pray for the folks. Anyway. So anyhow, well, people come in. I just wanted to, like me, I'm gonna go ahead and wait a little while, get some folks in before we really start the topic. And so you gotta bear with me. I am going to play ode to my favorite people. Baby boomers. We take so much heat and we got all this wisdom and nobody wants to hear it. So what I'm going to do is make some of you feel my pain. Anyway, here you go.
I got stories to tell, a lifetime of lesson, I know them so well. From the dance halls and jukes to the struggles we face, wisdom in the blues, let it never go to waste. You gotta find your way, make your own road, carry on the torch, let it lighten your load. It's your favorite baby boomer, dropping wisdom through the highs and the lows. We keep on rising, lessons from the past, ain't no need to fear. In the rhythm of life, let the blues steer you clear. I've seen love and loss, the joys and the pain. In this great big world, nothing ever stays the same. But hold on to your dreams, they're worth fighting for. In my heart of the blues, you'll always find more. So listen up close, hear the echoes of truth. In every sweet note, here's your guiding proof. It's your favorite baby boomer, dropping wisdom through the highs and the lows. We keep on rising, lessons from the past, ain't no need to fear. In the rhythm of life, let the blues So keep this in mind as you travel your path through the highs and the lows with love and the blues. Go find your true
Hey, I'm back. I thought you guys would enjoy that a little bit. Just as a brief respite while we're in. Hey, oh no, here's a Black Man Unfiltered. That was me. I put that out there on this channel. No could tell you. So this is not a new song, but I just, made it up for the occasion. AI is a beautiful thing. So let's get to why we're here. And I have three things for you. Well, first, we've had a lot of conversations about, these are hypothetical conversations, and I want you guys to share it with me. So anybody who might want to come up, I'm going to put the link in there and we can talk about it. So it's going to be from a man's perspective, but that's okay. So we wrestle with a few things that we talk about. So I got three things we're going to talk about tonight. Well, the first is I was watching the Pivot podcast, and I'm gonna share that link with y'all, where these guys ask the question: if you propose to a woman and she says to you, you know what, let me think about it, maybe, after all the courting, after all that stuff, and you finally get the nerve to pop the question, and she puts you on hold, what do you do next as a man? So they had a conversation about that. So that's a good discussion point. Some men will wait. Some men will kind of just say, listen, if you don't marry me, it's over, or whatever it might be. So we can have a discussion on that. The second one, last week we got into this discussion right here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. And it was about, I have a position that most men, most men, okay, are not as cringed by the fact that their women or their wives have had sex before. I mean, we feign all this shit, but almost every man that I know who's married, their wife was not a virgin, okay? And the question on the floor was, well, how do you reconcile that, right? At the same time, we sit down there on these panels and we talk about how many women are hoes and this and that and the other thing, when men routinely marry women who've had sex with other men before. And I looked it up and I wanted to ask a question, and I'll get back into it. When did we stop making the number one priority and standard as men for the women we marry that they be virgins? When did we stop doing that? So I'm gonna get back to that one. And the last one is the real reason why men don't want their women to go on girls' trips. Okay. We talk about it every so often. But I don't think we really get to the actual, real, true reason why men don't want their ladies to go on girls' trips. It's not because we think they're going to have sex. Of course, that's part of it. But that's not the number one reason. Okay. And so we're going to get to that one too. So up first is the first question. Okay, if you're courting a woman, months, maybe years pass, you think you're on a main steady stream to pop the question, you buy her the ring, you get down on your knees, you're doing all your man things, you pledge your undevoted love and obligation to keep her safe and happy, and you give her the 4 P's and all whole 9 yards. And then then at the moment of truth, she looks at you and says, let me, I'm not quite sure yet. Let me think about it. Can I get back to you? So the question is, well, what would you do? What would you do if that was you? So I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of the Pivot podcast, and we'll see what these gentlemen talk about. Let me stop this right there so I can share it. All right. There it is.
A lot of TV. Y'all know that? So I'm watching this show. Dude proposes to his girlfriend. She says she needs more time. Now, when she came back in 2 weeks after her time, he was like, you know what? I'm actually cool on it because we clearly ain't in the same place. If you, or if a guy, ask a woman to marry him and the woman says, I need more time, do you, one, give her more time? Two, how much time do you give her?
I think he was in his feelings, first and foremost. I mean, because he probably got sensitive. His expectations were high. He thought they was lovey-dovey. He thought she was on the same page that he was on. She said, no, I need more time. Basically, she said no. That was a no. That's an immediate no. The more time was, let me go and think. Now she has to do her emotional thing as a woman. I believe he made the right decision, to kind of step away from it. Maybe they both need more time was the conclusion of it all. If I ask you to marry me, I'm going to expect the answer right then and there, and that was her answer. So maybe it wasn't right for him. I don't know, man. What y'all think?
I've asked one person to marry me, and they say yes on the spot. If they'd have said no, I said, fuck you, and we'd have never talked again.
For real?
What are you talking? Fred.
It wasn't a no, Chan. It was I need more time.
Fred hit on the head, RC. It was a no. Marry me, the ring. Either put your left hand out or not. And you say no, you. What are you talking about? I'm old school. I asked, Asia was raised by her grandparents.
Right.
I asked Asia's grandfather on the way to Walmart. I used to drive him to Walmart on the weekends. Could I marry Asia? He said yes. We had a whole family thing going. Will you marry me? On South Beach, on the beach, across from Prime 112. We just ate. No. You. And I'm out of there.
I don't think I would say F you, but damn sure, it's over. Well, and that's another question, though. That's another question. Is the relationship over? And we'll explore that part. If she says no, and I think it depends definitely on the man, and it depends on how she says no. Okay, I think, but I know that I would end the relationship right then and there in terms of any more courting. It would be over.
So now, So now I'm on the, what am I doing? I'm just sitting here every day waiting to see if you're going to take this ring. Who am I? I'm Gollum. I'm Gollum sitting there worshiping. Yeah, I'm worrying about my precious. Man, get out of here. I don't know the man's name. If you ask someone to marry them and they don't say yes and get excited, don't marry him. Because it's going to go bad, because now they don't know if they like you that much. Hang it up.
Yeah, honestly, for me, if I ask you to marry me and you tell me you need more time, you already telling me that I ain't for you.
I know you don't cuss that much. You.
Yeah, because you ain't for the streets. I mean, you for the streets to me now.
I don't know about man says he wants to curse her out. I don't know about cursing her out, but I know I'd be as disappointed to say a curse. But this goes to what I've always said. And I know I've said it more than enough time. Anybody who listened to me has heard me make this quote. As a man, when you're courting a woman, one of the biggest things you need to know is that she views you as her number one choice. And a maybe is telling you that she doesn't. It's as simple as that.
And even if that's not what it is, you ain't for me. Right. And the other thing is this too, though. Recently, I knew somebody and they was like, yeah, man, I just asked this chick to marry me. She said no. I said, well, did you expect her to say yes? And he said, oh, I didn't really know. I said, well, were you dating seriously? And he was like, well, not really, but I drove to Wisconsin from Arizona to ask her. I said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And so the thing I say first, if you're going to ask someone to marry you, you should have already had the conversations about whether or not that's for y'all. If you guys are in that place, it's supposed to be buku setup conversations to me getting this ring. Like, what do you want for your future? Can you see yourself being? What's the next step for us? And, in this world, we don't all do everything by the Bible. You probably halfway living with each other and shacking up by this point if I'm going to ask you to marry me. And so when a woman says she needs more time, then she's either deciding to herself, should I settle for this dude who ain't everything I want, but he might be good to me, he might take care of me, he might be hardworking, he might be loyal, but I don't really know if it's him.
That's one thing. And she might need, and she also needs time to clear her roster. She's telling you she's got a roster. There's some guys or guys out there that she needs to clear her head about. And it's not clear, so that's on that list too. It's not just that, you got all the good shit. He got some money, blah, blah, blah. Sex is marginal and shit. Can I live with that for a long? Man, the chick, you can't get married under these circumstances, especially since marriages, the covenant marriage doesn't mean shit to Americans anymore, hardly. You got to go look far in between to find some who will stay glued to the vows.
If you got to take 2 weeks to figure out if you're going to settle on me or not, I don't want you no way. Because clearly I have made the damn decision.
Settle. Just settle.
Hey, hold up.
I don't settle on me, goddammit. You.
No, but we got to be fair though, because we don't know how much time it was between them being together and he asking and that whole thing, right? So we got to be fair. Maybe they weren't together long enough.
If you the dude are in.
All right, so again, harmonize, right? How could you think that, you might be right. She might not necessarily have a roster, but the truth of the matter is that's got to be one of the things I would be thinking about. I mean, if she was with me and we're talking and we're having this intimate courtship, because it's not boyfriend and girlfriend stuff, right? We're having a courtship. And then when it comes time to commit, this could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be a good chunk of my time. And much more important is her time too, right? Because she's got the egg clock going. And so then she says, I'm not sure. A man can't get married under those circumstances, but a lot of men do. A lot of men do. I can guarantee you that if you ask me, would the majority of the men walk away? I would say no, because a lot of men live in a scarcity mindset. A lot of men that said, this is the dream girl I have, and just because she said maybe, I'm not gonna quit. And I always say, if you got to take a woman and you got to drag her ass into the fold and shit, man, that's a big mistake. Yeah, my wife was running towards me. I thought she was crazy. Man, she was all over me. When and her spirit was just right. I said, I'll be a fool not to ask this woman to marry. So anyway. Well, so that's the first one, but I have a couple other clips on this one before we let it go that I just want to show. Let me do this. Where is it at? All right, so let me just jump to the one where I have a couple of ladies, and I almost feel bad about showing this clip, because I can't stand these ladies. Well, I can't say I can't stand them, but it's just regular hyena talk, but they're on the right topic here on this one. So I think they have something to offer, and then we'll talk about that one. So the question on the floor is, what do you do after you get the maybe? Is the relationship over? That's a good question right there. Is the relationship over if she says maybe? Now I haven't seen this show in a coon's age, and I never watched it, but I know it was on. I don't even think it's on anymore.
Y'all ready for this? something good today.
Okay.
I saw a meme, and I want to get your opinion on it. Take a look at it. It asks, for men, if you propose and she says no, is the relationship over?
Ooh, that's actually a really
So,
good question.
you know, do you
Great
think
question.
if a woman rejects a man's proposal, is there a chance of saving the relationship?
I think it depends on how long they have been together.
Yes.
Right? Because if you've been together for, I think, past like 5 years and she says no, it's like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right.
What is she waiting for? But if he asks maybe after dating after a year or two, I know for me, I want to get to really know the person that I'm going to marry.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would be a problem.
Yeah, it
She said,
shouldn't.
yeah,
Oh
right?
my gosh, if a man was really mature, he's got to know that if a woman says no, there's got to be reasons behind it.
Right.
And a lot of times, just like God, sometimes he's not saying no, he's just saying not now. You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
so I'm
agree.
tripping. You are.
There you go. They're tripping.
No, there's no way.
If a guy asks a girl,
You know
if
what it
she's,
takes for a man to get on one knee and do that and ask
yes,
a
but,
woman
he's,
to ask
but
him a
sometimes it's too
question?
soon.
Yeah.
What do you say? Why?
I say no. It's a wrap.
Really?
So if you were a guy, yes,
and you
because if
propose.
she's playing waste his time in 2017,
But she's not wasting his time if they've only been dating for like a year or two.
yes, or maybe she's not ready just because she has to deal with herself. Some women just never want to get married at all. Maybe that's
True.
just not something that they want.
Well, it
Maybe-
depends on how she says no. Because I remember watching this basketball game, and it was halftime, and the man was like, he had the cheerleaders, and he was in a box, and the woman didn't know, right? And it had the mascot and everybody.
Yeah.
And so they had her come up like it was a surprise.
I saw this.
Yeah. And he came out the box and had a ring, and when I tell you, she is probably still running out the stadium.
Yeah, I think those kind of proposals are stupid. You know, really. But even with that kind of proposal, if she was all in on the dude, she would have still said yes. So she probably would have said no in private as well, you know, if she got embarrassed by a proposal.
And everybody was like, oh my goodness. And so when it's that type of proposal and she say no, I think it's over. But I think if you make it like, because first of all, you kind of know when somebody gonna ask you to marry them, right?
You
So
hopefully
shouldn't you
have spoken
conversation?
about it.
That's another thing. I think the couple should definitely be at a place where they've talked about whether or not they'd be
True.
open to getting married.
Exactly.
But do all couples do that? I don't think so.
Some
Sometimes
people
men
don't.
just like to surprise.
Are there any single men in the audience? Any single men?
Dang.
Our
All
show
the
is
women.
booed up like
Well,
that.
all right.
All the brothers. Okay, a married man, because I want a man's opinion about this.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about this? If a man proposes to a woman and she says no, is the relationship over?
Not necessarily.
Yep.
It all depends what type of woman it was I was talking to. If I was after you, I'll still be pursuing.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You know, come on, man. That's that's the point, right? Men in scarcity mindset. You look at a woman, and he's saying that to my girl here, don't bring me down into the gutter, please. Stop it. Get some help. Oh, Jesus
Really
Christ.
sweet.
So he said, automatically, he's a plan. He's got to be a plan.
It's the quality that I'm looking for.
It depends on what you.
It's the quality that I'm looking for, not just the package.
So if she say no, but how many times you gonna hear no from her before you go?
Maybe once or twice at least.
Okay.
Once or twice.
And
Twice.
Yeah.
patience is a virtue. Because at the end of the day, sir, I would think that if she's worth asking, if she was willing to commit to you for the rest of her life, then you're willing to wait until she's ready.
Oh, hell no. 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 No.
Am I right?
Well, how much time do you have?
I got as much time as I need to make sure I'm an appropriate wife for that man.
All right, but now here we go. Now, if I'm pursuing you and I put everything, I lay down everyone, I put my black book down.
Right.
And I
Put your
wholeheartedly
black book down.
That's the
came after you.
That's the other girls. They not enough
Got it.
more.
I got it.
Rolodex of
I
chicks.
got it.
Come on.
Yes.
Look, I don't have a whole lot of time. If I give you my heart from the beginning and you turn it down, I need to run.
But wait, you're contradicting yourself.
No, he's
Because
saying
if
different.
you don't want me, it's someone else that does.
What he's saying is,
Yeah.
if she wants to be with him, but she's just not ready, he is willing to wait. If you are saying no because you just don't want to be with him, then he needs to run.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with that.
I'm not so sure that's exactly what he said, but it's, because he was wimping out there for a second. The point really is that you ask her once, and it depends on the kind of note she gave you, but not really. She's telling you that's information, man. She's not ready to be with you. And a month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, it's not going to make a difference. The difference is that if she actually says yes on a second time, that means she scoured everything. She went through her roster and said, well, Joe got a Big Johnson, but I don't feel like being ramrodded every fucking night. But he don't have no money. This guy, he's a mechanic, but he's dirty all the time. This other guy, but you fit all the things, but you got a dad bod, and but you know what? I think I can manage, looking up at you every, once in a while, and I'll regulate that to maybe twice a month or some shit like that. Run, God damn it, run. You can't marry a woman under those circumstances. You just can't. So I don't know, man. That's enough of that. That's just my personal opinion. You give a one bite at the apple, and women don't agree with this. I think that for all the things we ask our women to do, a man's obligation is far much more in a relationship. You gotta, I don't know what happened where women don't think they have to earn all the shit that men will do for them for the rest of their lives. But somehow it got upside down because we got a lot of goddamn men out there who's lost their way. So that's just my opinion. So we don't need to see no more of that. I don't know. So what do you guys think? So that's the first one. I just think that you give a woman the best chance to say yes. You set up the circumstance, but it has to be with a legitimate courtship. You just don't throw a marriage proposal on a lady that you are just playing around with. It has to be an intentional relationship towards something, and she has to know that you're on the marrying path. And then after a year or two that passes, when the time comes for her to commit, if she's not ready to do that, that's information. That is absolute information, and you got to heed that information. You certainly do. You can't fool around with that. So that's the first one. That's the first one. I thought it was interesting on the Pivot podcast. I actually did a short video on that on my Unique Sports Talk channel, and kind of same kind of thing. So I thought I'd bring that here. Then I also thought with that, maybe there's some other questions we could talk about. The second one is, when did men's, and I looked this up. I said, was there ever a time in America when men's standards were so high that they demanded that their wife be a virgin? And, you could look that up, and it started to wane in the 1950s, okay? And then when the pill came out and a sexual revolution started, when women decided that we could have sex without impunity, men stopped really making that the top priority, right? They really did. So it started going downhill from there to where we are today, where I don't even think men even think twice about whether their woman had 1 or 2 or 3 guys and all that kind of stuff. So, so the reason why I brought up the virgin is because, of course, Trey was on a live last week, and he said, you guys just don't get it wrong. The men's standards are so low. The only standard we should have for a wife is that she should be a virgin before we marry her. And he doesn't plan, he doesn't plan on getting married, by the way. So it's easy for him to say that, but the vast majority of men don't even require that. I know in 1987, when I asked my wife to marry me, that shit wasn't even on my list, and I'm old. I went to college. My wife went to college. it wasn't even on my list. And the funny thing is, and I said this before, so this is not new news. She was gonna, and my wife was always kind of meek, so I didn't. Her spirit, wasn't like she was out there hoeing, right? I mean, she was living with her parents. She was on a curfew and all that kind of stuff. Very respectful. I seen how she moved around people, but she was gonna get ready to tell me some shit about her past, and I stopped her. I actually stopped her. I said, you know what? I don't need to know any salacious details. And I'm supposed to be old fashioned and shit. I said, I don't need to know all that. I don't. I said, I did say this was crazy because I have a sense of humor. I said, if you learn some shit, you better make sure I get a benefit of it. And we laughed about it and we never spoke about that stuff again. Never. I never said, what's your body count and all that shit? What the fuck, man? I didn't. So and some guys, and it's not like I wouldn't, it's like I didn't want a virgin, but it just didn't cross my mind. And just to be real and just transparent, I had before I got in my dating days, I ran into just one woman who was a virgin. Just one. And she was nice. Well, I mean, we went together, so it wasn't a hit and run. So we went together for a while, but we were in a third location. We was in a training program, and she was going one way, and I was going another way when the training program was over. And we just didn't want to have a long distance relationship. She didn't want one, I didn't want one, and so we just knew that we weren't going to try to do anything. But she was a very, very, very nice girl, and I felt honored. So anyway, so that's what I'm saying. But if it was the number one thing on my head, and I found a real virgin, I wouldn't have let her go. I wouldn't have let her go. So what's going on? So anyway, so that's that. So let me play this video of a guy who's adamant about this situation. All right. Let me go ahead and play this guy.
If a woman is not a virgin, don't even marry her. If a woman is not a virgin, we got to get, look, we got to get back to the basics. We got to get back to the basics, man. We got to get back to the basics, guys. If a woman is not a virgin, why are you even marrying her for? For what? No, because she already dealt with other guys. So chances is she's carrying DNA and the bodies and the spirits and demons from other men. You don't need those headaches, man. Guys, look at what's going on with these celebrities. Look at what's happening to them. Look at your boy Tyrese. He's struggling. Look how much money that man. We're going to do a video about his situation.
It's funny that Tyrese is on the thumbnail, and it's a coincidence that it was there, But yeah, he's down bad. With women, he is down bad because he keeps choosing the worst women.
We got a lot of videos to cover, fam. I've been out of the loop because I'm dealing with the system here that I finished hooked up. So that's why I said, let me go live and put out a stream. You know what I mean? I didn't even get no sleep or anything, but I want to test the system out. At the same time, I want to talk about a topic off the top of my head to try to hopefully guide these women into making good decisions.
See, now, when he said guide these women, there's two parts to that. One, that men who want virgins, you got to stop being whoremongers, right? We got to stop you got to do something on your end, right? Because if you really, in this day and age, if you really want to get married, and you want to marry a virgin, well, you can't be whoring around yourself and making sure that there's more unvirgins than anybody, right? If you look at getting a virgin woman as a blessing, then you have to deserve that blessing, right? Wouldn't that make sense? Right. And I agree with him about the energy transfer. And that's one of my other things. And with women who sleep around, they're like capacitors. They have energies of all the men that they fooled around with. And a lot of people talk about spirits and demons and all that, and that could be true. But the point really is that, yeah, you carry that out. And I also say this a lot, that every woman, every time I'm on social media, just like a lot of you, and every time I hear a woman complaining trauma and all of this shit, it always leads back to the tip of a man's penis. Always. Just go through TikTok and find the first woman complaining about anything, about her trauma that she needs to heal and all this bullshit. Well, if you need to heal, you know what? Every additional Johnson you take keeps the scab open. Right? It keeps the wound open. It's as simple as that. Women are not men, but that doesn't mean men should sleep around either. But the truth of the matter, it really doesn't take. If you wanted to experiment with some shit, I'd say stay a virgin. But just like a man, you don't need 100 women to know your way around a woman's body. You just really don't. Anyway, so
even though we know they're not going to take the advice in most cases, I mean, to be honest.
Well, let me also say this, that a couple of weeks ago, BMU had a lady up here, Beachy. I don't know if she's a man hater or not, but she said one thing that I thought was pretty poignant, that she has a club or some kind of group that's training women to stay, young girls to keep their virginity until they're married. And that's the first time I heard a woman say that. That wasn't her reality, but that's the first time I heard a woman actually say, not born again virgin, not, enjoy your life and they'll forgive you shit, but actually telling girls to stay virgins for marriage. I think that's an admirable thing. And I think we need to have more women talking to other women, even if you burnt yourself out, to actually tell the young girls, don't fool around. Just flat out, don't fool around. And then have a good reason to tell them why not to do it. And if your anecdotal experience is a good teaching tool, then use it.
Most of you ladies, you're not going to listen. You're going to listen to Miss Sprinkle because her words are very promising. It makes you feel like you got a shot with a guy that's going to give you money.
Officers were dispatched to a bank after a teller called police and reported that a group of people were attempting to cash a fraudulent.
Yeah, that's another channel, but let me stop that. So his was short and sweet, and he was right on the money. But it's not just about men telling women. It really, I don't think men need to tell their daughters, like I told mine. Men should, if they have an expectation of finding a virgin, then they should be somewhat virtuous themselves. I mean, that's only fair. But men, especially black men, our standards over the years have been so low, man. And I think that hurt the women in our community. I really do. I'm not blaming them on the same way that, we're the leaders and all that other bullshit. I just think that if we stop accepting any old shit that was given to us because it's pretty, then I think the dynamic will change. We even start seeing the dynamic change now on the internet, where women begging for money, mad at the passport bros, saying where are all the good men at? How come nobody approaches me? All the things that's going on now is because that's what y'all wanted. That's what y'all wanted. Swiping whatever right or left on the app, only 20% of the men get hit. Women just declaring that all men are ugly and shit. I want a pretty boy, that kind of stuff. So I mean, that's where we are. And let me tell you, if for accountability purposes, as bad as men are, the way the relationship between men and women are now is not all men's fault. You guys beg for a lot of shit. Now y'all got it. Y'all got it. You know, it's just as simple as that. So there's some. Here's another one. Do I eat at Wendy's? No, I actually I pick it up. You know, I haven't had a Wendy's in a while, but yeah. Anyway, so the bottom line is this. You know, can men by themselves alone actually reset the standard by just saying, listen, I'm not marrying you unless you're a virgin? And what kind of impact would that have on the women? Would they even listen, or would they even care? Would the men have to go across the seas and all that? Because I don't know if you could put the genie back in the bottle, you know? And I think it's actually women who have to change the narrative for women when it comes to maintaining your virtue. You know, a man could do what he can, but there you go, Trey. Yeah, Trey. This is a topic, man. You started this shit. What you saying all of a sudden, you'll find anything not to get married, right? Shit, you know, you got to be a virgin. I don't know where you're going to find one. I really don't. Unless you, like you said, age gap dating. You know, you got to find them when they're fresh out of shit, man, 19, 20, 21. And that's if their parents were in the house, right? So it's like a, you know, so I got another video, though, I do want to show, because there's a lady who has 3 reasons why she didn't maintain her virginity, right? And I thought that was pretty cool. Now, you know, she's kind of quirky, and she gives me the impression that she knows her way around a man. But I thought what she said was pretty cool. Let me do this. I'm gonna move it up here and share it. Share as I go. Right. So this is the kind of lady that I think has a story to tell other women. Right.
Reasons of why I had sex before marriage. I'm sure there's a whole lot of reasons, but I was able to sum them up into just 3. If you're in that position and you're just like, my life is ruined and I'm never going to have a happy marriage because I've already had sex and all these lies of the enemy, then at the end, I'm going to share some truth to free you from guilt and shame, from the lie that your life is over and ruined and you can't walk in purpose. All of that, we're going to get it together today. We're going to conquer that lie.
Welcome to my channel. I hope this message helps you conquer life with courageous love. Say something in the comments, share, and subscribe.
My goal for this video is for women who have had sex before marriage to know that, like, God loves you undoubtedly. It is to provide some clarity around this whole purity culture that we've created. It is to break cycles where families are perpetually having sex before marriage. First reason I had sex before marriage is pretty simple. No one told me to stay a virgin until marriage. There were a lot of people, like my peers, telling me to have sex before marriage, but no one directly verbatim said stay a virgin until marriage.
Listen, you know, it sounds simple, right? But certainly there's very few or no women anywhere on the internet telling women to stay virgins. They're telling them to go fuck as many men as they possibly can. They're telling them the exact opposite. The advent of the pill, the advent of 3rd or 4th wave feminism tell women when you're young, you're too young to get married. Go explore the world. It was a euphemism of getting your back blown out. And, you know, I believe her. Probably nobody in her life, I don't know if she's from a 2-family household, 2-parent household or not, But I think women could hear men telling them to stay virgins all they want. But if the women in their lives are telling them to go bang out, as many dudes as possible, that's what they're gonna do.
So break that.
Let me see who I got here. What's up, Trey? Wait a minute, let me fix this. Not that one, this one. What's going on, man?
What's good? What you doing?
Yeah, all right. So I see you popped up on this one, man. You started this conversation and shit. So we're talking about it. It's more than just what we were talking about. But remember, I started the conversation by saying I don't think men are as bent over about women that they are with having sex with before they got married. Because I don't know any married men except maybe Mr. Bennett who had a virgin. And I just don't. So how miffed and how so-called insecure are we about the fact that our women have known a man before? And guess what? Widows get married again all the time. Divorcees, they get married all the time. What's the deal? And then if we segue over to what you said, is how come our standards drop from demanding we marry a virgin in the first place? And I had to look that shit up. The first question was, was a virgin a standard in America at all? They said, yeah, until 1950. And then when 60 came around, when the pill was there, it was a wrap. Was a wrap. So what say you, man? How do we as men get back there?
Well, to address the insecurity thing, I don't think that you're insecure because you want a woman that hasn't shared her body with someone else. You have to understand something, that when you're marrying somebody, you're making an ultimate sacrifice on both ends. You are legitimately, as a man, saying, I am willing to give my life for you. Right. And the fact that she can't return something as precious back to you says a lot about the men, actually. I think the actual real insecurity comes from the fact that you're accepting it. You're willing to accept the fact that this is what the women are giving us. I've said this before. Since so-called 1960, women have given us their ass to kiss, and we've just sort of just taken it. It wasn't until C-19 and the red pill and the mandatory and all that to where men started to actually sort of wake up and say, well, hold on, something doesn't seem right here. Right. And the fact of the matter is that I believe you are an insecure man if you do marry a woman who has a promiscuous past or an uncertain past, because most men that are married, a lot of men don't even know what their wives were doing in high school, don't even know what their wives were doing in college.
On that, though. I mean, it's, what, here's where, and I'm not saying you're being insecure, not insecure, what's the word? I had it in my mind. Listen, the fact that you're not married, right, gives you a free lane to say what you're saying now. But did you always think this way, or did life over the last 20 years tell you that?
I've always been this way.
Well, you wasn't going to marry. You wasn't on a track to marry your daughter's mother.
Well, we have to be clear. She didn't want to get married. So,
but did you ask?
Well, I did ask. I asked her if she wanted to get married. When our very first date, I asked her, did she want to get married? And
was she a virgin? Was she a virgin?
No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't. Huh? But I wanted to see where her head was. Okay. And her head, because had she said yes, then I would have responded with, well, what are you going to give your husband that you've never given any other man? That would have been my next question. But she preemptively, she got to that. She basically took the fire out of the wind out of my sails by saying, no, I don't want to be married. There was nothing for me to really, there was nowhere for me to really.
I have to believe you, because I don't want to call, I can't call you a lie. This sounds a little disingenuous that you would have asked that question, but let's just say that.
No, I've always felt that way, though. You have to remember, I spent my years from 19 to 27. I was in the military. I saw people get married left and right. You have to remember that. You have to remember that. From 19 to 27, I saw people getting married left and right. I saw people cheating on their wives. I saw all types of stuff happening. I saw wives cheating on husbands. I saw literally the worst of the worst when it came to marriage. So, and not that just deterred me from marriage. My thing was always, if I'm willing to give this, how does she meet me?
I agree with that part. See, I always think, and virginity might be one of the things too, but I think that the greatest gift a woman could give a man is not her virginity, but is a baby. They got it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I would say to people, I don't see how people become stepdads. In the past they did, but because a woman can't give you no greater gift. Now her virginity is a gift, right? I guess a virtue. It doesn't necessarily mean she's a good woman or not. For marriage, for other tangibles. But so you're the first one who entered the womb. But I think the greatest gift a woman could give a man is a baby.
Yeah, and here's where I disagree with you on that.
Okay.
I believe the greatest gift a woman can give a man is her virginity, and here's why. She can only give it to one man. There's only one man she can give that to. She can have children by, and we see it often. We watch the whole clip of women saying, "I had 5 kids by 5 different men." She can give a baby to a lot of different men.
Okay, but so that woman, I hear you. I hear you. But how many women up here have given their virginity to men that they don't even see anymore?
Right, and that's where I go back to. This isn't all on the women. I'm not placing sole blame for this.
No, I'm trying to protect the men on this one. I don't think the women give a shit about their virtue anymore.
Yeah, but that's the issue. That thus means they're not marriageable. That's what that means. And so what we have.
Okay, how do you spread this word? How do we spread this word? I mean, we're talking about it now. Now, here's what the question I have for you. If we started a men's panel and we talked about, we need women to be virgins, blah, 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 I'd accept it that way. But, we need the men to start to raise their standard. And the first on the list is that your woman has to be a virgin. And we started that as part of it. So how do you get that word out? Or is it really in the realm of women to start saying that? Or both?
I think it's going to have to come. I think it's two party. I think the women are going to have to set that standard,
right?
That's what they want. But can you hear me?
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm just looking at.
Yeah, but the men also have to. The men have to basically stand on 2 feet and say, we're not accepting it. Until that happens, and here's, for instance, one of the best examples I can give of this is like the dating scene. Like there's a lot of things that men have said, we're not doing that anymore. Right? Take speed dating, for instance. They can't get men to go to speed dating or singles events anymore because men put their foot down and said, we're not doing this anymore. So when men actually stand 10 toes down on something and say, we're not going to be involved in this anymore, approaching women. Women are crying about not being approached anymore. Because men have said, we're not doing it anymore. So if men actually stood on their 2 feet and said, listen, if you're not a virgin, don't even talk to me about marriage. Don't even conversation.
All right. So yeah, it'd be an interesting start. How many men you think could live up there? He kind of froze in there, Trey, on your thing. How many men you think could, and give me a percentage of men who would be willing to stand 10 toes down on that shit when they just
5. 5. And this is the point that I'm making. This is what I was saying on Friday night, that the men are weak, right? The men are essentially weak because there is no standard. If you tell a woman, and I've done it, I've told a woman, there's no way in the world I would marry you. Like, I know what you used to get into. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what you used to do. I would never marry you. And so a lot of it is that the men don't want to ever put this limitation on the woman because the fear is that if I put a limitation on her, she's going to put a limitation on me sexually. So that's why they don't want to do it.
Okay, let's stay there, right? If you're a man nowadays, because most men don't want to be sexless, You finally actually found a woman who's virtuous and you believe her. And now you're courting, okay, a year or two before marriage. How many men will be willing not to try to bang out something in that period of time just so they can seal the deal?
I don't think it's a matter of how many men. I think these are the men. These are the types of men that you would actually deal with. I don't think it's about the number of men. I think this is a natural selection type situation where the worst of the worst will weed themselves out because they refuse to wait. Right? Okay. They refuse to wait. But I've said this before. I'd be more than willing to wait for a woman that's a virgin. There's no need. There's no rush. If I truly felt and believed that she was not out here like that, and she was, I could believe her. I have no problems waiting. I have no issues. I have no issues on waiting at all. None. But the truth is that, well, there's nobody to wait for. I mean, these women are talking about 2026. They're being able to hit a reset, basically hitting a reset button. I just watched a video of a girl who said, "If I'm drunk, that sex doesn't count." Like, it's like, what?
Well, yeah. Well, see, this sister here that we have up here, of course, is, she's not claiming born again virgin, okay? But she was out in the streets and she has her 3 reasons. The next video I have is this lady who is trying to convince people that you could be a born again virgin. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying to her, she's got all kinds of biblical reasons because she's cleansed by Jesus Christ and all that kind of good stuff. And, what's going on? What's going on? All right. Hello. So I'm just saying, so I'm gonna play a little bit more. She has 3. Let's hit her other 2 things, and then we'll come back to that. Let me get this girl going.
Cycle for the people in your life and just say, hey, you know what? Stay a virgin until marriage. A lot of people don't know that that's possible for them, that that's a thing, that is what God desires for them. So tell them, a virgin until you're married. I'm telling you now, stay a virgin until you are marriage. Second reason that I had sex before marriage is because I knew sex was wrong, but I did not know why. It really was like, oh, if you have sex before marriage, it's dirty, it's nasty, it's wrong, but nobody told me why. The why is because it's a sin. It separates you from God, your creator, the one who loves you so deeply, so perfectly. You need to know the why. If you're in a situation or you are in a relationship with a younger person and you don't know what to say to them, don't just tell them that it's wrong and you're not supposed to do it and the Bible says. No. Say that it separates you from God, the one that you want more than anything else. We feel like we want these things or these relationships, these people, these experiences, but no, what we really want is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, to come back and get us. We want to be in relationship with our Father. And the third and probably biggest reason I had sex before marriage, and you're probably like, this girl ain't taking no accountability for her actions. I'm about to right now. If you're still here, thank you so much. And if you are liking what you're seeing, I'm going to ask you if you would go ahead and please like the video and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to wait a second while you do it. Thank you so much and welcome to the community officially. The third one is because of idolatry. Put simply, I was following a false god and that false god was me. I felt like I can sustain this relationship. I can change him. I can make him want me. I can be attractive. I can show him that I'm worthy and show him that I'm loved. If I just have sex. I said it. And that's a lie. Who am I to be changing anybody? I ain't got to.
The last one that she's talking about is, I don't know where it is in women's head that they ever thought that shit would work. Right? Just giving a guy the box and box them in place. That shit never worked. Especially with the guys who would roll. That shit just never worked. I mean, they keep trying to do it. But when a guy's getting the juice, I don't, unless he's really a simp or something like that. First, he ain't getting it that much. But if he's like a regular guy that you wanted, he's just taking the goodies, and that's it. He might like you, might treat you well, but you can't train him by giving him bar. That shit doesn't. It never works, ladies. That shit doesn't work. So I'm glad she said that. So I mean, the 3 points are good. She put the God in there. And, the thing that I like about her, she's not trying to say she's like a born again virgin. She's been through the ringer and she has a different message to tell. So I'll give her credit for that. All right. Hey, Curtis Moore. Hey, man, $5, $4.99. What's up, Trey and Boomer? I'm late. What did I miss? You missed Trey telling us that we're all wimps because we married women who weren't virgins. That's what you missed. You know what I'm saying? so that's exactly what you missed, man. We all fell short of the mark and shit. So anyway, so that's the deal.
You guys aren't wimps. I think you've just been conditioned. You guys have just been conditioned, especially a lot of men have been conditioned that it's perfectly okay to get with a woman who has a past. And I think here's one of the things that I hear a lot, especially from millennial and Gen Z guys. They'll say, well, I got a past.
Yeah.
And it's, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, and like, what does that mean? We somehow we've lowered the bar. And I love this because women will oftentimes say the bar is so low. Oh, the bar is really low for women when it comes to men marrying y'all. The bar is actually, you can be fat, you can be a bad attitude, you can be broke, you can be like literally women can be like the worst of the worst. And there's a man out there somewhere who's willing to take on these problems that you have. Whereas for a man, that you would never marry a dude who's homeless and living in the back of his car. Like you would never do that. You would never do that. So I want to see, especially black men, it's okay to say, listen, you don't fit the standard that which I'm looking for. I don't believe that having a standard as a black man makes you bougie or sassy or any of that. It doesn't make you any of that. And if you meet a woman and you guys agree on things and y'all are going in the same direction, that's perfectly fine. But there are a lot of black men out here who are married to women and you have no idea what that woman was involved in. You have no idea what you married. And it will come to light at some point in time because it always does. And then what do? You stuck at that point. You have no leverage.
Hey, well, it is true. And what can you say? But again, I think we hit, I want to hit this one. It's not too long, but maybe I'm not going to show the whole one. But this next video I want to show I have a video I'm going to just talk about. It's a lady had one body, right? She was going with a guy for 3 years and they were going together. They broke up. And in the 2 months after, she gives it to some random asshole, right? She knew the guy. She gives up. So she didn't give the other guy none for 3 years. They were celibate together. So as soon as they broke up, she let somebody bust it down. Then she finds her dream guy. She finds a virgin man, and now she's going through a whole bunch of changes because she didn't stay a virgin for him. Now she told him the story, and and she goes through why he accepted her and how she had to go through this trauma about having the one Johnson. Now, the one Johnson theory, she said it was one time, and she started saying, well, it was terrible and all this kind of stuff. I don't know if I believe her, right? She's trying to placate it. So, I mean, it was a good kind of thing, but the real one I wanted to hit once, this next lady talking about she's a born-again virgin, and she's pretty. So, and she gives me the impression she was really, really busting it down for the guys out there, because she's hard over on this thing. All right. So is this the one? All right. I think this is the one. Let me go ahead and share this one. Let's listen to this chick here, man. for a little bit. I lost my virginity, but can I still be pure? 3 truths.
What's up, my beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. This is the how-to ministry on love, life, and purity. And today we're going to be talking about, I lost my virginity, can I still be pure? 3 truths that you need to know. So if you want to know.
Oh, by the way, I've noticed a lot of the I've lost my virginity women, they love Corinthians. They found a lot of they love Corinthians.
These truths are, y'all know what to do. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. Please be sure to subscribe below and hit that bell so this way you know whenever new videos come out. That rhymed. Yes, it did. And if you are a sub, welcome back. I am so thankful and blessed that you're here again. And thank you so much for all your positive comments and all the love that you leave me. Make sure you check out the resource that I'm going to link down below. This way you have something that you can print out and visualize and refer back to and look at anytime that you're feeling unsure of yourself or anything that may try to come against you during this time. Now, this video was inspired because of one of my other videos, which is how to become a born-again virgin, which I will link down below. And the reason why this was an inspiration is because it's actually one of my most watched videos. And it's been caused a little bit of controversy. So I want to go ahead and make sure that we understand the foundation of what Christ has laid.
She's cute.
For us. In 2 Corinthians 5:17, it states, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come." So we're going to start off by looking at 2 Corinthians 5:17, and we're going to focus in a few words. And the 2 words that we're going to focus in first is going to be in Christ, which determines new identity. Okay, so what I love to do when I study scripture is I go to blueletterbible.com and I'll plug in the verse and I'll go in depth with the words. And what I found when I went in depth with in Christ is I found rest. Strong's definition of being in Christ in that context was meaning a relation of rest, that it was rarely used with verbs of motion. And what I thought was so beautiful in that, especially when we're talking about losing virginity and purity and things like that, is that sometimes we have to work hard, or we think we have to work hard to fix our reputation. And I have a video about that actually that I will link down below. But there's other things that we also feel like we have to work hard for, making wise and godly decisions and trying to make things right. So when we get this in Christ within this scripture, we get this breath. We get this rest. When we're resting in Christ, then we understand that.
Essentially, what she's saying is that you have to go through a self-exorcism to get all that men DNA out of you and shit. You know what I'm saying? You gotta go through a serious exorcism where she goes through these Bible verses. So I think she might have been playing pretty hard, right? Because she has to convince herself that you lay your burdens down on the altar to God. And it's only from her point of view, but I see a ring on her finger. So she convinced the man somewhere in there, right? She convinced the man somewhere in there, you know, that it doesn't matter, you know, that I busted out for
our
the world.
identity is under his identity. So we don't have to relate anymore to the girl who used to sleep around. We don't have to relate to the person who did X, Y, and Z, whether it was yesterday or, you know, this morning or whatever the case may be. When you accept Christ into your life, you're accepting his identity. So the truth we want to take away from being in Christ is having a new identity. The second set of words I want us to.
So Trey, okay, so her philosophy is you accept Christ, he forgives all sins, and now you're cleansed, right? But does that take away your memory of the 9-incher or the you know that she was busting it out for, the Alpha Johnson and all that kind of? Does it take that away?
No. When she was getting put through a mattress by Big Ronnie, this doesn't go away. And you know what my frustration with this whole thing is? Your relationship with God is your relationship with God.
Right.
There's nothing I can't say anything about it, and I won't. But that has nothing to do with the man. I get frustrated with the men who sit here and listen to this and let them run this game on y'all. This is game she running. She running game. I get it. If she wants to say, hey, look, this me and God with that, and she quoting the Bible in it, and I'm clean and I'm cleansed, great. That's between you and God. But me, I'm a mere mortal.
Right.
Right? I'm a mortal. I know what happened because you told me what happened. Therefore, I have to make a judgment based on you as a human being. And therefore, and I get frustrated because this is what I talk about. This is the insecurity, Boomer. This is the insecurity. The insecurity is to accept this woman, knowing she has the past that she has. That's the actual insecurity. A secure man would say, I am glad that you got yourself right with God. However,
right,
you don't meet my standard.
Well, here's the thing, right? Okay, you call it insecurity, and maybe this is a form of insecurity, scarcity mindset. A guy who would accept all this has a scarcity mindset. If I don't get this girl, she's pretty. I never had one that's pretty. I don't care about her past. I got the scarcity mindset that I'll never find another woman that's cute like that might really hit all the criteria buttons. I don't want to look no more. And I think that's what women prey on the guys. I mean, yeah, we're weak. I mean, men are weak when it comes to box. It's a natural thing that we're weak, and you have to develop a thick skin somehow. But let's hear a little bit more about it because she really gets into this. I got to give another couple of minutes.
Focus in on it's going to be new creation. And when we look into the Strong's definition of new, again, we're going to see some beauty there. We're going to see recently made, fresh, recent, unused, unworn.
Unused. Okay, baby.
What I love about that is that sometimes when we're not a virgin anymore, we can feel used, we can feel warm, we can feel like nobody wants us anymore, right? Because we're not fresh, we're not these things that God is calling and saying that we are when we accept him and when we accept his identity. And another part of the new, when you look into Strong's definition, is unheard of, which I thought was amazing because in God's kingdom, you don't have a reputation. And how beautiful is that we can say that when we identify with Christ now, that we are unheard of in the sense that our sins are from as far as from the east is from the west.
Yeah, but okay, but suppose he don't let you in. Suppose your past is so bad he don't let you in. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I forgot. She you know, I mean, does everybody get in?
That's fine. That's fine. It's okay. It's okay for God to forgive you. It's fine. I'm not arguing that God doesn't forgive people and you could be made anew. And I'm not arguing that. It's in the Bible. I'm not arguing it. My issue is the men who sit here and see this and go, you know what? She'd make a great candidate for a wife. And so when I say things like men love hoes, people get crazy, but I keep getting proven right every single time. Men love hoes. Men love promiscuous women. We love them. Because if women can openly on social media and say, I have a questionable past and will sit there with a ring on their finger, that tells you men love women who have a lot of sex. Plain and simple. And the reason is, speaking to your point earlier about scarcity, the reason is, the thought process is, well, if she was already getting it in like that before, I'll just be able to get more of it if I just lock it down, which is it's a weird thought process because that's not how it goes. Everybody knows that's not how it goes. All that wild stuff that she used to do, and she sort of cleansed it out of her system now. You're not getting that girl no more. And I truly believe that a lot of men think this. They think, oh, I can get the OnlyFans girl. I can go get with this chick because she used to do all this nasty, freaky stuff. So if I marry her, she'll just do it for me and me only. Until you realize, no, that was a season, an era, right, in her life, and she's not doing that anymore. And now you getting vanilla plain Jane lay on her back. That's what just all you getting now.
That, you know, that's, I mean, especially if she was really wild. You know, I hear that. I hear that. You know, yeah. So she's, you know what? But you know, I hope that the guy's getting some of the fruits of that labor, man. Shit, I think. I mean, listen, if a woman's out in the street like that, you know, like this is a porn star named Riley Reid. She used to do all kinds of shit, right? And she got married. Her husband was excommunicated by his whole family for marrying her. But I think she got muscle memory. I think it'd be hard for her not to be a freak. You know, I think it should be hard. Yeah, but you're right though. In general, you ain't getting a oh golly good big Molly if you know. For oh my God. But these guys, man, she got that big ring on her finger, so somebody believed her. Anyway, so that's what we got the point with her. So I mean, the last one I wanted to talk about was the last one I really wanted to talk about was this, and I guess you're here. You could talk about this one too. The real reason why men don't want their women to go on girls' trips. The real reason why men don't want their women to go on girls' trips. You know, I don't have no video for this. I was gonna just kind of say, I think on all the shit that we hear on the panels and stuff like that, it's all about, you know, I don't trust her friends. You know, there's always a hoe and she's this and that. I can't protect her and all this shit. But let's face it, the real reason why men don't want their wife to go on girls' trips because we don't trust her. Because we don't trust. That's as simple as that. You know,
that's the benediction right now. We can judge, bang your gavel. That's the end of it. That's the end of it. That's the truth. That's the number one. That's the number one reason. Instead of just honestly, openly, and looking her dead in her eye and say, "I don't trust you." Exactly. You're going to Miami. I don't trust you. You're going to Jamaica. I don't trust you. You're going to Tulum. I don't trust you. I don't trust that you're gonna go down there and keep your legs closed. I don't believe that you're not gonna be put in a situation, especially depending on what your girl looks like and who she's associated with. A lot of these girls can get into parties, they can get into sections, they can get into places that you as a man would have to pay a lot of money to be able to get into.
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah, if you got a baddie for a girl and she's in a section with a bunch of all rich millionaires, bro, you just lost your girl. She's done. It's over.
Well, you know, I mean, you know what? And even that's the easy one. The harder one is the one where you have a dutiful wife, right? You have a wife, and you got, let's just say you've been married for 20 years and shit. You got 3 kids. The oldest is 15, and she's got a circle of married women, and you all know each other. And you know, after this time, she finally, all the girls want to go to France. They want to go take a trip for France for 5 days, okay? You know, and you know everybody, you know the couples, you know all their husbands and all this shit, but you don't know how they talk to each other, right? So you could bet that at least 1 or 2 of them is already having an affair, right, with somebody, okay? So the 5 of them go to France. They go to France, but your wife, let's just say she's a good wife, never cheated on you, nothing. She's kind of buttoned down a little bit. You're real secure. And so they're out the first night and they're chilling and all that kind of stuff, having some wine and a nice fucking looking at the Louvre and all that shit. And a couple of guys walk up, 3 or 4 guys. And, you know, and one of the guys, well, his name is Jacques. His name is Jacques. And he looks at your wife and he introduces, and then all of a sudden they get a little tenth of a connection. He's looking at her and she said, God, man, I haven't had a man look at me like that in years. Right? Nothing happens that night, you know, but her friend is hooked up with one of the guys that came, you know, they passed notes and shit. And your friend with you told him where you would be a couple of nights on your itinerary. So y'all go out again, unbeknownst to the good wife. Wow, they run into these guys again as Jacques is there. Right? So y'all get into a little conversation and shit and all that. Nothing else happens again. So the night before you gotta go, You're in your hotel, and your friend again told him this is where you're staying. And Jacques comes over and you're there, and he's there, and y'all get into this fucking conversation, and the drinks are flowing, it's getting late. And Jacques is, he's got the little accent, he's buff. Your husband got a dad fucking bod. You got all those kids back home, and it's the night before you got to go back home. And all you could think of, I got these 3 fucking kids. I love them, but man, they're working. I got the dad bod husband. He's a good man, but golly. And then all of a sudden, you say, God, man, that's you flash in your mind. I said, nobody's going to really know. She goes up with Jacques, and he's doing all kinds of unspeakable things to her and shit in the room. She's all, man, enamored, man, Jacques is busting it out. And, okay, the next day comes, y'all got to go home. And she actually goes home, and her husband greets her, oh, I'm happy to see you, like nothing happened. But, for her, but, they were doing their routine, maybe having sex twice a month or 3 times a month. But she comes home and she still wants the memory of Jacques. So that week, she's busting her husband down just to hang on to the memory of Jacques, right? You know what I'm saying? And then, her husband one day says, that's too much, And then she goes back into her routine and she says, I got this memory I got to take to my grave. That's the real anatomy of the girls trip. Your good wife, she's just... Hey man, that's the anatomy. That's the anatomy of an affair. That's the anatomy of an affair. She didn't plan to go down there to do it, but that's how that shit would happen. That's exactly how that shit happens. That's why you don't want them to go.
Yeah, that's where I disagree with you. I think that when women plan their girl trips, I think they absolutely plan on getting smashed.
Yeah. Well,
I think that they talk about it.
All do. They say shit.
Yes, I do. I think that they talk about it in the group. I think they talk about it in the group chats. I think that is the plan, especially if one of the girls within the group is not getting bust down. Like if there's a few girls in that little group that's not getting action the way she wanted, I absolutely believe that this is all planned. This is all, because here's my thing, and I've always said this: I would never have a problem with girls trips if the girls trips actually went somewhere that wasn't meant for single people. Like, why are y'all never going anywhere to enrich your brains? Everywhere that you go girls trips is where single men would be, and what do single men look for in these places? They look for women. So I know that you're going there because you want to be a part of the single crowd. You don't want to be a part of the crowd that says, "Hey, I'm in a relationship or I'm married." Right? I know of women who the moment they get on the plane, ring comes off, and ring gets stuffed into a bag until they get back on the plane. I have friends who are married. And they have a hall pass understanding on trips. When he go on his trip, he got a hall pass. When she go on her trip, she got a hall pass. That's how their marriage works. That's how it works. I can't tell you any other inner workings of it and how it works from there. I just know that when we've gone to Miami and when we've gone to places, he'd be like, "Yeah, I got a hall pass. I'm good. I'm good to go." And he do his thing. And there's never been any smoke apparently from it. Now, what we later found out is that, because I was always curious, like, okay, you got a hall pass. What about her? Does she have a hall pass? And we later found out, no, she got a hall pass too. So she can go do what she do when she go out of town. But our pain, Boomer, at the beginning of this, you hit the nail on the head. The fact of the matter is we just don't trust them.
Yeah.
We just don't trust them. At the end of the day, we don't trust them. We know how men operate in these single atmospheres. We know what men are up to. We know what they're trying to get. We also know that how easily the woman that we're dealing with, whether she could be influenced by money or status or whatever the case may be, we know these things. So the issue isn't so much of them going on a trip. The issue is more so that we as men, we just don't trust them. You got with a woman, and you just don't trust. Just keep it 100. Just keep it a bean. I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I don't trust you. And what we'll do is we'll say silly stuff like, "Well, it's not you, babe. It's not you, babe, that I don't trust. It's
your friend.
them. It's your friends. It's the guys." That's not true. The truth is, I don't trust you because I know how easily you gave it to me.
Exactly.
I know you didn't make me wait.
Exactly. That's just
you let me hit the first night, but you let me hit the second night. So what am I supposed to do with a guy who's 6'4" and got millions of dollars? He's way richer than me, and he putting the moves on you because he want to put you through the mattress that night. You going? I know you going because you let a man that's less than hit it. I know you going. That's just be honest. Let's just be honest. We don't trust. I don't trust you. Plain and simple. I don't trust you.
I don't trust you. It's so bad, Trey, man. I tell you what, man. Maybe there's one lady left. You know what I'm saying? She might be 20, 22 or somewhere. You know, but I tell you, it's just not our culture.
I dated a girl. We were actually living together, and she's in a travel space. She's like a travel agent and all of that. Like, so her traveling was something she was doing long before I came along.
Right.
So her going to places was nothing new. And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to go to Vegas." So she's supposed to be down there for a wedding, right? But somewhere along the line, the wedding got canceled, so they decided to go to Vegas anyway. Still, now me, this is my green, blue pill days. Not thinking nothing of it. I not that I didn't trust her that she was gonna go down there and smash, but I knew she was gonna have a good time. And sure as shit, she was down there. She was down there shaking her ass at the little pool. They have these little hotel pools and all this.
Yeah, of course.
Down there shaking her booty. She was doing exactly what I thought she was going to be down there doing. And I told her, I was like, "This is the reason why I was never really cool with this from the beginning, because you did exactly what I thought you was going to do. You was going to put on the smallest bikini you had, and you was gonna go out there and twerk for 2.5 hours on some hotel pool, and that's what she did. What she wound up doing. But guess what, though? Boomer, guess what? To this day, she's married. She got married.
Well, that goes to my theory. I'm telling you, that goes to my theory. And I mean, you could call it the men are, weak and all that kind of stuff. But I just think that, men now have said, "Fuck it, man. You know what? This is what we got. We're fishing in the pool, and that's what we got." And I just think that there's layers to it, right? I don't call every woman who's had sex before a porn star or OnlyFans model. But again, the truth of the matter is, if you're a real purist, one dick will do. Right? Yeah, she had one dick before, man, they could do some damage. And like I said, I always say that every woman who has trauma, you can pretty much pinpoint it to the tip of a man's penis. I challenge anybody out there, and the 42 people in the audience, hit the like buttons, by the way. Go to TikTok and listen to any woman's trauma. Any woman. I'm not talking about real, essay. I'm just talking about volunteer trauma they get their shit into, and when they tell their story, you could pretty much see the penis sticking up. You could pretty much see the penis that made them traumatized. Every story, every single story. So women, you gotta somehow control that shit, man. So we need more women to get up here, talk about virginity to the young ones.
Ain't nothing to talk about. Ain't nothing to talk about. That, listen, it's a pipe dream, right? I say it because I know that it's triggering to some people, but the truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, it's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream to believe that we're going to go back to a time where the boys and the girls were virgins until they became of age, they got married, and that's a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. We don't live in that time anymore. I lost my virginity at 14. When the girl I lost my virginity to, she wasn't no virgin. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah.
She was seasoned in the game. I was unseasoned. She was seasoned, and I think she was a year older than me, so she was 15. Right? So we have to have an understanding that a lot of this, I truly believe, is just biological. It has nothing to do with humans.
That's true.
It's just when puberty hits, when the hormones start to hit, this is what happens. Young boys want to stick their, they willy in something wet, and the girls want to experience. And we also have to stop acting like women don't get horny or don't want to have, like women do too. Like, I truly believe women are actually hornier than men. I believe that. I think that they actually want sex more. I think we think about it more, but I think they crave it more because of the biological, hormones that they exert during the process of sex.
And
That
there's
they
a
won't.
reason why they can have multiple orgasms.
Exactly, that too. On top of that, yeah.
There's a reason, and it's kind of funny. And you say this, I think we don't make the connection. In the absence of structured society, morals, mores, traditions, we revert back to our primal selves. That's exactly what's going on. I mean, and I put this on men and women are like, if I made an analogy or a corollary, there's no different than the hogs in the field. They're just having babies for guys they don't even know. They don't even know the middle name, last name. They're nothing. These kids come out, then they talk all this bullshit that I thought he was going to be a good dad. Get the fuck out of here, and then the dudes themselves impregnating whole communities of women, right? So I mean, it's bad. I don't know how to put the genie back in the bottle, but it got to start from somewhere. Maybe it starts with Trey saying you men need to be looking for virgins.
Well, they ain't gonna find them. That's the problem.
Guess who the other person was talking about virgins? And you, the one I think you had a run-in with her, Beachy. That she says she has a group of ladies and a community center or whatever who preach to all young girls to be virgins.
Yeah, she preaching, but they ain't listening, I guarantee.
But I guess it starts with a preach, right? Somebody's got to say it. Just like the woman said, her first thing is nobody told me that I was supposed to be a virgin.
Nobody told her to have sex either.
Yeah, well
she figured that out.
But you got to teach people how to be right. They could be bad all by themselves.
They can be right all by themselves.
Sometimes,
nobody had to tell me. Nobody had to tell me not to do drugs.
Oh yeah, well that's an extreme case, man.
Nobody told me. Nobody had to tell me not to break the law. You can be good all by yourself too.
Yeah, okay, but that's but it's just peer pressure there, though, man.
We're making excuses for the women now.
No,
it's okay.
It's okay. You use yourself as an example, both men and women. In the absence of structure, right? You kind of revert. You read The Lord of the Flies, right? I mean, if you read that book, you read it. I mean, you know about The Lord of the Flies, man. If there's no structure there, we tend to maybe in groups, maybe individuals, because there was kids on that island who intuitively knew to do the right thing. They got drawn into it, or they became victims of it. So I mean, I hear you.
All I'm saying is, good luck with that. Like I said, it's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream.
You started it.
I know because to me, I guess I sort of put marriage not necessarily on a pedestal, but I put marriage high on the list of male female interactions. Like if a couple gets married, I see that as being sort of at the top.
It is the top. It's the top.
And if you're telling me that as a man, to get to this top, there's a lot of things that I have to do as a man. I got to make sure I'm financially stable. Right. I got to be, emotionally intelligent and all. I got to have all of this stuff. I got to be a provider and a protector. I got to be able to lead a family. I got to be able to do all of these things.
Exactly.
And then you're telling me, well, what I have to choose from when I ask her, well, what does she have to be? I said, well, she been out here, she living her life. She doing what she want to do. And even if people say, well, what if she only had a couple, well, she's been in relationships, a couple of boyfriends. Yeah. I've said this before. That doesn't make it any better. That just means she was just having sex every day. That's all it means. She was just having sex every day.
It is true, man. And the funny thing about it is that story's played out over TikTok, especially all the time, because those short form, all the women talk about is what they want from a man. Not one of them says what they're going to give in return.
What they're going to give in return. Never.
Not one. It's crazy. Never. Never. So anyway, man, that's the way it is, brother. So those are my three things. I thought, I'm glad you came up, but I mean, I think those are questions we should, those are kind of things we should talk about, it makes good conversation.
I think ultimately what you're going to have, or what you are having, is you're having men who are subjectively saying, this is what I can handle. I can handle her having 5 bodies. I can handle her having 10 bodies, 15 bodies. Every man
Has a different number.
It's going to be different. Yeah. And I think that's just where we are in the world now. Every man is making their own personal decision on, yeah, I could deal with 8. 8's not too bad. I can live with 8. Where there's some guys who are like 8 is outrageous and I would never deal with that. You know what I mean? And it just is what it is. But what I have a problem with is we oftentimes still sort of revert back to the tradition that if a man is willing to accept 15, like he's like the crazy guy now. Like, oh, you accept her with 15, she got 15 bodies. And it's like, well, none of us are getting virgins anyway. So you know what I mean? Like 15.
So do you think marriage itself is a dying construct? I mean, everybody's saying
I think it's been dead. I think it's been dead.
Well, wasn't there like some kind of let's just say it's pretty dead.
However, statistics show that Black men are one of the only groups that is actually going to potentially see an increase in marriages in the coming years.
Is that because we're the biggest idiots or what?
No, I think that Black men truly believe in
love, right?
Union. Yeah, I think that Black men truly believe in union, and I think that men actually really love. I think we're the only ones who are truly capable of love, and I think that as a man, even for me, when you have a lot of love to give, and it's a different kind of love. I love my kids, I love my family, but it's a little bit different to love on a woman. And when you have that kind of love, you have this love that you want to give, but you don't really have anybody to give it to because they're not really fitting the.
That's right.
They're not qualifying. So I think deep down inside, we as men, especially Black men, we want to give this love out, but we don't really have anybody to give it to.
Yeah, well, that's right. But if they're still getting married, that means all the men now are still really compromising because they're not demanding virgins at all, right? Every man, and that's why they walk into these traps where they marry a woman who has all that muscle memory, and as soon as she gets tired of the dude, especially if he has something to offer, they walk away.
Yeah, which is why I think that Black men are marrying outside the race more. We certainly are doing it at a higher clip than any other race, but I think you're going to see it happen more and more because I do think that to some degree Black men actually do want to be married, but I think that the crop of women that have been presented, I've said, and I'm
let's just say that the crop of Black women has been presented.
Yeah, it's. I don't think that it's sufficient for what Black men are actually looking for.
No, it's not.
And it's unfortunate, but like I said, all the statistics show. I know Media Man did something a while back, and it's actually showing that Black men are actually going to have an increase in marriages over the next coming years. Black men are increasing their salaries. Media Man does a really good job of showing those stats. We've increased our overall salary like every year for the last like 5 or 6 years. So Black men are becoming more successful. I told you I read the article about Black men being the largest, newest group of investors into the stock market. There's a lot of things that are trending the right way for Black men. And I think the missing link is we want the wife too. We want the wife to go along with that. And I think more and more Black men are noticing what I said on Friday, that you can still have a Black community and not have a Black wife.
I agree with that too. I agree with that. I think one of the things that the sisters also put themselves in the pickle because a great deal of them, by the time they're 25, 26, have a baby. They have kids. And some guys want to start their own legacy, and that shit hurts them. And then into this delusional rant that their value goes up. I mean, you might be a good person, but for the man who doesn't have any children, you're not the biggest asset for him.
Especially when you consider that almost more than half of Black men don't even have kids.
That's right. So it's not us.
So it ain't you know what I mean?
Not us, man. What's going on, Anton? Yeah, man. So anyway, man, so there you have it. This is a good conversation.
I mean, it's wishful thinking. I wish that our women would get to a point where they had that something special to give to that man who's willing to risk everything for her. Right. But unfortunately, that's just not the climate or the culture that we're in anymore.
No. And you're saying we ain't going to get it back.
I don't believe so. I don't think we'll see it you won't see it in your time.
No,
I'm about 20 years younger than you. I don't believe I'll see it in my time. Maybe my kids might see it where women, maybe women, take a stand and say, no, we're not doing this. We're going to go back. things have a tendency to be sort of cyclical. They kind of do kind of go in a cycle. Maybe at some point in time, this might come back around and women will take a stand. I see a lot more young kids, getting into church. That wasn't really a thing. There's a lot of young kids getting back into church. So maybe something might come back around. But as far as millennials are concerned and Gen Z, I don't think that we will see a time where I said this on Friday. Gen Z guys will have it the worst because all they gonna have to choose from are OnlyFans girls and streetwalkers and strippers and sex workers. Because majority of the women in their age will have had a sex worker past to some degree.
Right. It's incredible. It's incredible. Anyway, man, so the last thing I want to say, and I don't want to veer too much into it, but what happens when you said there's going to be a blue wave, right? What happens when they take back over into the morals and all that stuff from the things that, that will hurt us the most? Transvestites, the gender affirming care, the lawlessness, the open borders again with millions of people at the goddamn border.
Yeah, I don't know, Boomer. I do truly believe that a blue wave is coming. I do believe that the Democrats will find a way to get the Senate and the House. I do not believe we will have a Republican president in 2028 going into 2029. I believe you're going to see one of the strongest Democratic takeovers you've ever seen, where they will have all three branches of government, similar to what the Republicans had.
And they'll be heavy-handed. They're going to be heavy-handed as hell.
They are going to be extremely heavy-handed because they feel like Trump has been heavy-handed. So a lot of this is going to be retaliation. And it's also going to be a restructuring of the agenda to get back onto the agenda of tampons in the male bathroom and men and women's sports.
But see, that right there, though, was all anti-family and anti-marriage and all that shit, right?
Well, that's the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is anti-family. The Democratic Party encourages women to not have children.
That's right. No doubt. They're offering them up to Baal all the time, right? Hey, what got me was and I'll get off of this, was that right outside of the DNC convention, they had the trucks and shit.
Yeah, they had the mobile unit termination of the mobile units for women who needed to get a termination. They could get one right outside of their entire agenda is to destroy what little is left of family there is. And here's the thing, I said this earlier to a guy, he's a Vietnam vet, he didn't agree with me, but the truth is that humanity is failing and we're going to go extinct. If the liberals continue to go down a path that they're going, humans will go extinct because in order to have some babies, a man and a woman have to get together and have babies.
Well, all right, man. I don't want to derail everything, but that's true, man. But it all plays into it because relationships are going to be gone, man. Hey, Prince Anton again, $5, man. Black men and black women want someone to build with, but for some reason they're not on the same wavelength, and that's an understatement for 30 years, 60 years, and it's getting worse.
It's a part of the agenda.
Yeah, anyway.
The agenda was to make us not like each other.
I know, and it worked.
And to fight against each other and to war against each other.
And it worked. It worked.
And it worked. They executed it.
And well.
I was going to say, and they're not done. They're not done. They got to put the nail in the coffin.
Well, and the orange man blew it, man, because he got a little bit too much hubris in him to see it coming. And so, there we go. Anyway, so that's enough of that, man. I appreciate you coming up. And of course, for this, the virgin, for the virgin conversation, I got a perfect AI tune for that I'm gonna play on the way out. You know what I'm saying? But it's not salacious, but it's about temptation. Anyway, so here we go. And then after that, man, we're going, man. I appreciate you coming up for that. You don't have to run, but I appreciate you for coming up.
In shadows deep, where whispers dwell. A heart seduction, a beguiling spell. Promises linger like smoke in the air. The taste is lead to despair. Caught in the web, I can't break free. This chronic yearning is devouring me. Temptation's grip, a sweet surrender, a battle within that I can't remember. Heartstrings tight, please set me free. In this twisted game, just let me be. Your every glance ignites the night, an aching pull, fight, no end in sight. Lost in your eyes, where nightmares play. Temptation's grip, it won't fade away. I'm dancing with demons inside my mind. In the arms of the dark world I find. Temptation's grip,
Nothing to wonder.
that I can't remember. Heartstrings tight, please set me free. In this twisted game, just let me be. So here I lie in shadows deep, caught in temptation, forever to keep. Can't chase your smile, see if I'm good. I don't know when I can't remember. I'm forged scams to have finished me. In this time, stay been who's a Greek me deep.
All right, folks. I appreciate you coming by. Let me put this up there. I appreciate everybody stopping by. We had a good conversation. Trey, thanks. Catelia, always. Everybody else in the chat. I appreciate you stopping by, saying whatever you need to say. And, next week we'll have another one of these lives. I don't know if it's going to be politics or it'll be relations and whatever it is. You know how it is. And, my channel is politics, marriage, politics, and sports. So I jump around a little bit. I've been on a political thing, but it's getting kind of, I don't know what else to say. I was hoping the country would be saved, but, sometimes even the guys in charge make some big mistakes, and we can't get out of that. Anyway, all right. Hey, right, you like this hoodie? Yeah, man. My grandfather was stationed in Tuskegee. He wasn't deployed. The war ended. He was a signalman, but the war ended before he was deployed. So, but he was there. So my grandfather, my maternal grandfather. Anyway, a good night, everybody. I appreciate everybody stepping up. Until next week, make sure you drop back tomorrow. We got another live tomorrow on Tuesday, flipping tables. And BMU is going to put some hex on the fraternities, the Define Nine, the Boule. So that should be an interesting conversation. about whatever they have to say. Is it, demonic and all that other shit, man. As a Q and a part of that, I don't know about the demons, but there's always some different ways to look at things. So stick around for that tomorrow. Anyway, I'm out of here, and hopefully the music plays, but I'm not sure. Later.